Every week one of the college football season, when it comes and goes, you need to evaluate whose stock do we need to buy, which players, coaches, teams had performances that have us just clamoring to buy more of what we saw on the field in week one. My gosh, did we see some very good performances. 4 teams in the top 10 go down. That means there are a lot of players, coaches, teams that had great performances. Obviously, we need to start with the defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes and their first-year starter, Julian Sayin, his first career start, taking out the AP number 1 ranked Texas Longhorns, and the hyped-up Heisman Trophy favorite Arch Manning entering the year. And we need to start off with Matt Patricia, because the former NFL head coach, the 3-time Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots, delivered a defensive mastermind of a performance that the head coach of the Texas Longhorns said was one of the best that he has seen. The disguised looks on the defense, the coffeehouse blitz is what we saw. Arvell Reese turns his back and then continues to rush the passer and sacks Arch Manning. Holy cow, that defense looked great. If you can buy stock in Matt Patricia in the defensive coordinator spot for the Buckeyes, buy it now, because they played that well, only holding Texas to 7 points, replacing 4 starters on the defensive line, replacing 4 draft picks on the defensive line. And they play like that against Texas this early in the year, when there's going to be mistakes, there's going to be blown coverages, there's going to be assignments that are missed, and you've got the ability to erase all of that, stop Texas 4 times on 4th down, and you don't think that unit's going to get better? Remember how they played in the playoff last year? So let's talk also about Ryan Day, because all of this talk about, all right, defending national champs, they're going to lose this one, championship hangover, there was none of that. They came out with an intensity, the shoe was on fire, and that has to do with Ryan Day firing up the crowd in bringing in a unit that was believed to be good, that they were the number 3 team in the country. They didn't rebuild, they reloaded after losing 14 players to the NFL draft and 16 starters from that team. 5 straight wins against top 10 opponents now, dating back to the college football playoff, to the national championship, to beating Texas. And his quarterback, Julian Sayin, buy it now, because no turnovers against Texas, didn't make the mistake, and he played with rhythm, played on time, on schedule, didn't make the dumb decision, threw it away when he needed to, didn't hold on to the ball, didn't take a sack. That goes kudos to the O-line. Can't shout out everybody in this game, but Julian Sayin, buy your stock in this kid now while you still can. Number 2 on this list, Carson Beck. This kid dealt with so much adversity in the last half year after his experience at Georgia, right, hurting his elbow, just being ran out of town by a fan base that, an SEC championship's not good enough for you guys, and Carson Beck goes to Miami, has to transfer, comes into a new spot. He's getting paid a decent amount of money, but that's not everything in the world. Money just doesn't buy you happiness. He goes to Miami, and you can tell he's happy there. Not just is he happy there, he throws 2 touchdown passes. He's accurate, doesn't turn the football over against a great Notre Dame defense that continued to show why they made the national championship game last year, because they don't quit. Down 14, they make it a 7-point game. Down 10 in the second half, right, they make it a 7-point game once again, and then tie that thing up. They fought to the end, but Carson Beck leads them on that final drive. I'd rather have seen Miami have gone on that game-winning drive from Carson Beck, win 27-24, than have ran away with it and ran forward 34-17, because that shows you that Beck can do it in the big moments, that there's going to be more chances for him to do that again. And then on the other side of the ball, Ruben Bain. What a performance from Ruben Bain. Holy cow. Getting after the quarterback, making plays. The dog barking in the background, you can hear it. He is excited. He's a big fan of Ruben Bain also, in the way that he played in this game against Notre Dame in a top 10 matchup. And the interception that he had. The guy turns the corner, returns it for over 20 yards. Like, holy cow, is this kid an athlete? Great play Malachi Tony also, shout out the 17-year-old doing a great job getting open for his quarterback. He's doing this at 17. He's got a quarterback behind a great O-line and a veteran quarterback. Expect Malachi Tony to have a great season. Just got to stay healthy, kid, and you're going to have a spectacular year. Let's throw it to another top 10 killer in Tommy Castellanos for Florida State. Kid, call your shot. Great Bambino style, Babe Ruth sending that thing into the second deck. He played really well against the Alabama Crimson Tide. And people said Bama's going to bounce back, win the Natty. They still can, but that performance, he ran the ball right down Bama's throat. I mean, there's LT Overton, there's Jefferson, there's Lawson, Damani Jackson in the back end coming down to try to take your head off. And Castellanos ran them all over. And he was effective throwing it. The numbers were good. Again, the story here, Sayin doesn't have a turnover. Beck doesn't have a turnover. Castellanos, this is the year of good defenses behind you. You don't need to throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. You can throw for $150 with a touchdown or no touchdowns and win a football game. Show some flashes of third down ability to pick it up with your legs if you're Castellanos, or ability to pick up a big third down we need to extend a drive if you're Beck or if you're Sayin. So these guys establishing great traits in Florida State's defense. Mike Norvell having them in the right position at the right time, holding Alabama. My gosh, Ty Simpson was under duress throughout the entire day, but Castellanos and Florida State, buy it now, because with that schedule, this team can absolutely go 10-2 on the year. Wow, what a performance from Florida State. Let's go to a couple of guys that did not play top 10 teams, but they had very good performances here. So Justice Haynes from Michigan, if you're a Buckeye fan, understand it, but like, you got to listen to this. This is an unbiased show. We have to break down the matchups because this is what's important. Justice Haynes rushed for 160 yards on 16 carries. I'm not a math major. I was a broadcast journalism kid in college, but that's 10 yards a carry, folks. 3 touchdowns on the day, and Justice Haynes showed everybody that Kalel Mullins gone, Blake Corum gone, Donovan Edwards gone, that we can still have a good run game there at Michigan. He had a great day, and how much does that help your young quarterback, right? The true freshman starter in Bryce Underwood has that to hand the ball off to. I know who they're playing. The opponent's not tough. I get that. We don't have to hammer on that point, but it's about that we can see the Michigan run game show those signs of potential, very similar to like Georgia this week, showing that they're a much better running unit this year. So positive signs out of him. Bryce Underwood, right? We had all the hype, him going into the year. Obviously a different opponent than what Arch Manning faced in that Ohio State front, but Bryce Underwood looked good on the run. This kid is as accurate as can be from a young player. Wow, does that ball come out of his hand with a little bit of pop to it. I'm not going to come up with a comparison yet because I don't know if I've seen one. I mean, kid's stout, 6'3", 6'4", almost 230 pounds. He's an athlete, big arm. I mean, there's a lot of positive signs. He gets to see John Mateer in Oklahoma, so that's where we're going to go this next. 3 touchdowns, 392. A lot of Heisman talk about this guy, and he showed it, why it was validated. So I think we're going to have a Mateer, a Haynes, or Underwood on this list again of who's stock that you should buy after that week 2 game, because one of those teams will be 2-0 with a ranked win, either Michigan or Oklahoma in that night game at Norman, the biggest matchup of week 2. But John Mateer slinging it around the field, a really good win for Oklahoma to start off the season. 3 touchdowns. Wow, he looked very good. And then the last guy on this list that we are going to talk about is Rocco Beck. And it's not just week 2. Week 2, he throws 20 passes. He completes 19 of them. 278 yards, 3 touchdowns. But the win against Kansas State, 2 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, a win against a team that's ranked ahead of you. We can't put Rocco Beck on this list after he loses his 2nd and 3rd round receivers, Jalen Knoll, Jaden Higgins, and it's like, how is this kid going to move the ball down the field without his guys? Oh, only because he's experienced, only because his coach has the confidence in him in that Kansas State game to go for it on 4th and 3 instead of kicking the field goal to go up 6, to complete the ball in the flat to Carson Hansen. He made that call at the line of scrimmage, by the way, and they win that game against Kansas State. If you don't think I'm putting Rocco Beck on this list, that you are crazy. Iowa Iowa State, buy stock in them as a team that can go back to the Big 12 title game, that Rocco Beck absolutely can put himself in conversation for the Heisman. Now, is he playing the competition that Lenora Sellers who played well against Virginia Tech and that SEC schedule? Will he play who John Mateer plays in the SEC, or who Julian Sayin is going to be facing, right? Garrett Nussmeier, right? A lot of these guys are facing elite competition. Rocco Beck's in the Big 12. My only thing is truly, how can you win the Heisman if guys at that level in the Big 10, SEC have those performances? Would be my only knock, but Rocco Beck not raining on the parade whatsoever. That kid balled out, deserves to be on this list. That is it for the list for this week. We can't talk about everybody. I mean, not everybody played well. There were a lot of great performances, but these were the ones that stood out. Buy stock in them as soon as you can. Talk about them with your friends, with your uncle, with your dad, with your sister. Bring it up to your girlfriend. Say, hey, we got to watch this game because we got to see Justice Haynes run the ball, or see Julian Sayin in his second matchup on the Big Ten Network, or see Garrett Nussmeier and Perkins. Gerald Perkins is back, and all of these people. Or if you're someone that makes a little bit of content, make a video about one of these people, because they were so fun to watch, and they're going to be fun to watch, presumably the rest of the year. So I appreciate you so much for watching. Let me know down below in the comments who should have been on the list. Who am I missing out on? They absolutely should have been in there, added, or instead of one of these players. Please subscribe for more content in the future, and I will see you next time. College football is back and better than ever.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder, hi everybody, I'm Josh Blunder.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.